Hey guys, it's Study and welcome back to Comic Space. And this past week has been quite a major one, especially when talking about Scarlet Witch return, which again we all have been waiting for that moment. And with the recent release of AGATHA all along, we have some major updates with Elizabeth Olsen returning to her iconic role, as it just furthermore confirms that Marvel Studios is indeed in development of a solo Scarlet Witch film, and it is going to be wild, but we are getting it. So, to give you in context, this past week from Production Weekly, we cover here and there on the channel, where they went on to reveal schedule for some of the upcoming films, which also included Spider-Man 4 and a solo Scarlet Witch film, which again we don't cover that much Production Weekly on the channel or like to give a lot more reverence. But anyhow, from the rumor mill, we know that Elizabeth Olsen is supposed to be filming something for Marvel Studios. It can be either the Vision Quest series that we keep talking about, or it can be either of the Avengers film, prominently Avengers Secret Wars, which it makes sense of Elizabeth Olsen returning as Scarlet Witch, even though it is not a 616 Wanda. So again, given all of that, today we have a major update coming from Daniel RPK. And again, if you haven't following our channel or have been part of the rumor mill, you know that we like to give Daniel RPK a lot more reverence, as he have quite an impeccable track record as well. As he went on to reveal that Marvel Studios is indeed in development of that solo Scarlet Witch film, but however they are in no hurry to film that project, and it is actually going to be quite a while before we actually get to see that film. And when we are talking about Scarlet Witch return, it doesn't necessarily have to be in her own film, which is looks to be quite down the road and possibly even part of the Mutant Saga and very back end of the Multiverse Saga, when we are all said and done with all of the multiverse stuff and well over after Avengers Secret Wars and the aftermath of Secret Wars, which again looks to be the case, and they obviously have taken a breather from that character. Anyhow, when we are talking about Scarlet Witch return, we are also talking about our main 616 Wanda, which we believe she is supposed to be down in the void, as we had in pretty much on your face reference in Deadpool and Wolverine, which again Agatha all along seems to be like the most perfect place or an project that makes a whole lot of sense of Scarlet Witch returning back into the MCU after Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. But anyhow, even though there probably are going to be like tons of reference to Wanda, and the Agatha all along might even lead to planting some seeds for her return. Anyhow, I don't think so. Elizabeth Olsen, is actually going to returning into the MCU with Agatha all along. Possible, I think, like I said, with the Vision Quest series, which Marvel Studios is 100% is going full on, even drawing some elements from the West Coast Avengers, and even James Spader is returning in that series as Ultron, and probably for more than a voiceover. That means Ultron is probably going to be coming back in a quite a major way, which again makes a perfect setup for Scarlet Witch to return as well, given everything. And obviously concluding the whole trilogy with WandaVision, Agatha all along, and the Vision Quest series, and which is setting up to be an insane level and a major Disney Plus show by Marvel Studios, which again, if she is not going to be part of it, which I'm not really counting on it, it has to be either Doomsday or Secret Wars. She obviously can be playing in variant of Wanda and obviously having a multiversal aspect involved in it. We know that the Scarlet Witch solo film, we have been speculating on that film for the longest time, and even with the ending of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, it was quite obvious that at some point she has to return, and I think it is just one of the most awesome and the most powerful character from the days of the Infinity Saga and moving forward, and they obviously wanted to take a breather from that character. I mean, the whole Multiverse of Madness, it can be in completely different video, because that film also got through a lot of iteration and the original story was nothing like what we got. There's a lot to talk about that film as well, but again it can be in completely different video about breaking down that film. But here's the thing, if you're going to make that character return back to the MCU, and with this whole soft reboot that we are probably going to head with Avengers Secret Wars and moving forward with the Mutant Saga, which again the landscape of the 616 continuity is going to be so different when she's actually going to be coming back, and when we actually get that solo Scarlet Witch film, how do you make that character come back? Especially if you are planning to give her a full redemption arc, which is obviously going to be necessary because a lot of things happen in the Multiverse of Madness, and I am pretty sure we are actually going to see Elizabeth Olsen returning as Wanda, probably not as our main 616 Wanda, probably in variant, and maybe even kind of in a supreme strange situation that even from the Apple What If experience that we had, which also featured Wanda as a villain, which again that we don't want. We want her to come back and in a much more heroic way. But again, I think we probably can be seeing that like the Supreme Strange variant, where we get to see actually Supreme Scarlet Witch, and obviously leading her to her full potential. Because again, but anyhow, when you are going to make that character return in a major way, which again, like I said, has to be Secret Wars or some project related to Wanda, probably Vision Quest, which I don't have my hopes up on that one. But Secret Wars is going to happen. It is probably going to lead to a soft reboot with the Fantastic Four and the X-Men also joining our 616 continuity, which again both of those films are supposed to be taking place in a completely different universe. So it is actually going to be a lot of work for Marvel Studios to handle those characters, let alone but also revisiting back on Scarlet Witch and how they're actually going to come back. Are they going to bring her back with a memory vibe and going through that story of her finding herself back again, and obviously finding all of the history that she had as Scarlet Witch? We are probably going to see a lot of things happening, and we know that we are obviously going to revisit a lot of characters from the Ward as well. Probably Wesley Snipes' Blade, Channing Tatum's Gambit, Elektra, and all of those characters from Deadpool and Wolverine, and which we, again, I personally believe that is where Wanda is right now, in the void. So whenever Wanda decides to return to our main 616 continuity, our main 616 Wanda, the story of her that we have been following for quite some time, whenever she is going to return, and I'm pretty sure she is actually going to return, and that is going to be awesome, and how that redemption arc is going to work, but it is going to be awesome. So I think it is time for me to see you guys off on this one. I'm so glad that you guys got the time to hear me out. Thanks for listening to me. This is your host Adi signing off. See you in the next one.